Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name is Adrian, and we're going to change gears just a little bit today. If you guys saw my Aldi video, I've been talking about ham and cheese sliders. So this is the ham that I picked up that day at Aldi, and I had bought last month from Sam's. I bought some Swiss cheese already cut, comes in a double pack. So I've got sliced cheese. There's 6 of these. I went ahead and pulled them apart. Got a chunk of Parmesan. Got my handy dandy little grater. Went ahead and got everything set up. I do have foil on my pan. Different for me, I know, but there's a reason for this. I have a little bit of butter here. This is what was left from, if you've watched my, I think it's going to come out after this. But we're in the middle of making bread. So I'm going to use this because we'll need it for 2 reasons. And I got potatoes right here. I've got 3 baking potatoes left out of that bag. We're going to make homemade French fries. And we're going to use our Hawaiian rolls that I purchased. Yes, I know I make bread. I have not attempted to make this type of bread yet. I'm going to pull y'all over so you can watch what I'm doing. I have not attempted to make Hawaiian bread yet. So until then, I will continue to buy those. I love them and they're excellent. These have been thoroughly washed and scrubbed. I'm going to put these in my Walmart cart. I use these. They are nail brushes, actually. But I've got several of those, and I do keep them on hand to be able to scrub potatoes or what other kind of fruit I would like to. Now, I know that we are going to be making these. I am going to be frying these. However, because of the size of fry that I like, they don't get done. They're still very crispy and crunchy on the inside. So I'm actually going to show you how I prepare these for the freezer to be able to have freezer fries, just like I would go to the store and buy a bag of fries. I'm going to show you how I start those and how I do those. Because up to a certain point, it's the same thing. So you're essentially getting a twofer today with this. But later, I did find out there is a grocery store up in the town up from us. It's called Save-A-Lot. And they have a 50-pound bag of potatoes for like under $30. So I think whenever I get my freezer and I get ready to do my make ahead and my convenience things and I get ready to make French fries, I'm going to go up there and buy a 50-pound bag, because I want to do French fries. I want to do mashed potatoes. I've seen a content creator do that. And once I do all of those, I will tell you where I have found those. So what I did, these were baking potatoes. I cut them in 4 big, huge hunks. And now I'm just slicing them the way that we like them. We do not like a huge steak fry, but we don't like a skinny fry either. So I cut them up into the shapes and the sizes. Some of them do get skinny because your hand just kind of goes awkward. But if I do them right, I'll get a good French fry out of them. When we were going to buy potatoes for fries and things, my husband picked the big bag of baking potatoes because he wanted some big fries. So we're having big fries. So I really hope you guys are doing well. I know that around here, there's a pretty wretched stomach virus going around. So I really hope that everybody is okay and that everybody's staying safe. All right, so what I'm going to do here in just a moment is reach down and grab me a bowl. Because normally I just cook these like this, but I do like to coat them with oil just to be able to get a good coating on there, because I don't parboil my French fries. A lot of people parboil their potatoes to be able to freeze them. I don't do that. Do not ask me why, but I have never been a fan of that method of parboiling anything. So what I do is I did this one day just as a test and it worked out great. I actually start baking them. I start roasting them. So I'm going to get some good oil on them, get them coated, and I'm going to get me out my larger pan than this one. And I'm going to get these on there and get them in the oven. I'm only going to cook them and roast them about 5-6 minutes. All I want to do is start the cooking process. What that does is it helps with the oxidation, first of all. If I were to cut all of these up, bag them, and throw them in the freezer, they will turn black. That is what happens. You have to stop that activation in potatoes before you preserve them. So you just have to start cooking them is essentially what you do. I just changed the method of the pre-cook. That's all. Because it's what I prefer. I mean, it will go both ways. If you want to parboil them, you go right ahead. And all that is water, maybe a little salt in a big stock pot. You get your stock pot rolling, boiling. You throw your whatever it is you want to parboil down in there. You let it cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. While that's cooking, you grab you a big bowl with some ice water in it. When you pull those out, you dunk them straight into the ice water to stop them from cooking. What I do is I have my pan ready. I put them in. While they are in, I go ahead and get my pans out that will go in my freezer. Because at this point, everybody does the same thing. Once you take them out, you have to put them on a pan, lay them out, and let them start freezing. Like you've seen me do with my biscuits, like I did with my garlic pods and my ginger. Let them start freezing. And then once they get a good coating on them, a good freeze on the outside, I usually leave them about an hour. And then I take them out, pop them in a Ziploc bag, and throw them in the freezer. And they are ready to cook. You can actually take them out that way, and you can finish them off in the oven. A very hot oven, roast them up in there. Our favorite way, honestly, is to fry them. I keep a little bit of oil just for frying. And generally, I can reuse my oil. I had really fried several things, and it just started smelling like it had been used too much. I'm very weird when it comes to oils and things like that. Once they start smelling used, I get rid of them. So this pot over here has to be dumped. You have to do that economically. My husband takes care of that. So I do have a shallow pan over there with some oil in it because I'm going to need it for dinner also. That will be another video. I'm going to do some fry bread to go with our dinner. So those 3 potatoes made those many French fries. It made my bowl full. So this is why I said that I wanted to go ahead. Oh, sorry guys. And start this the way that it's going to be that I do them, to freeze them. And that reasoning is that's probably going to be more than what we need. So when I get these out of the oven, I will check them. And if I feel like that's more than what we will eat, and I'm pretty sure it will be, I'll go ahead before I fry off our lunch potatoes, and I'll bag up what goes in the freezer, and I'll freeze the rest of them. Extra virgin olive oil on there. Now, I've also made seasoned fries, which is just where once I get these put on the pan, I will sprinkle them with whatever seasoning I want on them. When I made the seasoning fries last time, I just used our house seasoning. That you guys know how much we love that. So I went ahead and did that on our fries, and they were delicious. I think I'm just going to let these cook like this. Try to get as single of a layer as possible, just because you want them to cook up as much as possible. So I'm going to turn my oven on 450. I should have already done this, but the fact that we're just now getting going, we're fine with doing this. So oven's on 450. I'm going to move this pot out of the way. All right. Okay, so I've got that ready. I'm just going to let that sit right here. Actually, I need to move this so that I can show you what I'm going to do with our bread. Because once I get those in the oven, this is going to roll pretty fast. This is a very easy lunch. I do this when we tailgate. If we have what I call veg out night, I may throw a charcuterie out. I may make finger foods. When I do a finger food night, I'll have to show you guys what and all we do. And this is one of the things that my son loves. You guys know there are different types of ham and cheese pull-aparts. There's all kinds of things. This is what we like. This is our favorite. You know, people do it one way. Some people do it the other. We are very, when it comes to things like these, I don't go fancy at all with our ham and cheese pull-apart. I pretty much, I'm as basic as can be with these. And the reasoning there is I'm going after flavor. I'm not going after fancy. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you can get too fancy and it will mess with your flavor because you're too worried about using this high dollar ingredient or that high dollar ingredient. That's not me. Yes, I cut my paper, but I'm not worried. So I did make a mess with that. I tried to do as best I could, but this is how it turned out. You know me. This is how we roll. So the reason that I have different cheese is the first thing I want to do, because of the way that I'm going to stack this, is I'm going to put and shave Parmesan over this side before I do anything. And no, I'm not putting mayonnaise, mustard, or anything on here right now because I cannot stand it when people put their condiments on now and then bake it. I'm very weird. I don't care for that. I told y'all I've got some very odd food things, and hot pickles, hot ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise is just weird to me. So I don't do that. All right, so I've grated some Parmesan to go up there. And then, and no, I'm not putting it up because I'm going to use it again later. And then you take your ham of choice. I just got regular ham. Some days I get honey ham. But we prefer ham. When I do use turkey or roast beef, I have other things that I use them with. And other ways that I make my sandwiches. This is how I make my ham sandwiches. Alright, so I got a ham. And this is just one of those small packs. It's a 9-ounce pack. So honestly, I will use the whole pack on here. It is the thin ham. And if I would have had the ham from Sam's, I would have used it, but I didn't have any. And I had asked him because I knew I was going to the store. I did ask him what he would prefer to have. I asked him for some recommendations for food, and this was one of them. So I'll be honest, my husband doesn't really, he's not a big sandwich person. When we do finger foods and I make things like this, I actually do my Scooby snacks with it. I've decided not to do those this week. I made chili yesterday instead. But no, I did not video that for y'all. I had a rest day yesterday, ended up with a terrible migraine before the day was over. So I actually just made a huge pot of chili yesterday, and that's what we ate. So I used my hamburger meat. Actually, if I do decide to do Scooby snacks, I did buy that turkey meat in there, so we may still have them. They're not on the menu, but if we decide to make them, I will make them. So I'm using all this ham. That is every bit of that pack of ham. I guess it was just a 9-ounce package of ham. 1 Hawaiian's King roll. I've got my Swiss cheese. And then as you see, I lay 2 down. And then I go up, so I kind of layer them. So there's 6. There's 3 across. 2 across and 3 layers. So there's that. And then that's all I do with that. So I'm going to leave this sitting off to the side because I will not put this in until I put these in the oil. So I'm letting the oven heat up because it does need to come to temperature. And I'm just waiting on it to preheat. And once it does, we'll come back and see what's going on. All right, everybody. So while off camera, I put the French fries in here, the potatoes. So they have started cooking. I'm going to leave those for just a couple more minutes. And then I'm going to get this ready here. And then once all of that goes in and we start frying, we are going to need our sauce to go on our thing. I said I wasn't going to put the mayonnaise on there, and I didn't. I didn't put it on right then because I'm going to make our own sauce to be able, let me turn you around, to put on it later. I know. Adrian, yes, it's going to get hot. I got that, but I'm not baking it. So this is all I put in it, along with a touch. Ooh, I'm out of white wine vinegar. I know it's probably weird. I'm going to put a little red in it because I don't have anything else. That doesn't look good. Hold on. There we go. Now, grab me a spoon. And no, I do not measure this. I don't know. This is where I'm going to tell you to measure with your heart. This is where I put in here what I think we're going to need, which isn't a lot. But if we were making double or making something else that I needed this for, I would use it then. Just make you a sauce. You can put ketchup on here if you want to. But since this is ham and cheese, I don't. If that would be hamburgers and I was doing my cheeseburger pull-aparts, I would put mustard and put ketchup in here. But I don't. Now, no, I do not put any garlic powder or onion powder inside. There's a reason for that. That's good. All right, so there's that one. Easy enough, right? Okay, let me put these up. I'm just going to put these back in the refrigerator. And then, now if you want to, I do have that mustard, that we got from Aldi, the German mustard. You can easily put that on there. You can put whatever mustards you want in there. I just use plain prepared mustard because that's what I have and that's what I prefer. All right, now, remember this butter? I'm just going to warm this up really quick. But in that butter, I put oregano in here. So I'm going to get me some parsley, some garlic, and some onion. That's all granules. It's all minced. Now, I'm not going to need all of this because this is half a stick of butter. I'm going to need it for something else later. But what I'm going to do is get me just enough out for my bread. And this also is for after it comes out. Because we're going to brush this on top. The cream base is going to go inside. This is going to go outside. Now, I'm going to take parsley. Yes, I know my potatoes are still in the oven. I'm keeping that in my head. Do not forget that you've got something in the oven. Garlic. An onion. Easy enough. Let's mix all that together. That's done. Now, to get in here and get my potatoes out and put this in. But the first thing I'm going to do is heat my oil on the stove. I'm going to put these, I'm going to put this right here just so that I can pull those potatoes out. Now, like I said, I didn't put anything on them because when they come out, all I'm going to do is salt them. I don't want anything else on there. Pull those out. Now, like I said, at this point, I am trying to decide if I'm going, I know I'm not going to need all of those. So, what I am going to do is bake whatever, cook whatever that I want for us to have for lunch, and then the rest I'll put on my other pan and put them in the freezer to make them. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I'm purposefully going to make sure I save some for you guys. So I get me a smaller pan, and then I get me a little bit of parchment paper. I only have a few size pans that will fit in my freezer because I have the freezer that's in my refrigerator, and then I have my chest freezer. I know what will fit where. That's another thing I'm really hoping that a stand-up freezer will help me with, is having more room to be able to leave a shelf to put things like this on them, so that I can go ahead and, what I've started calling, instead of paraboiling, we're going parafreeze. We're just starting it a little early, and we're just going to go ahead and get some on here. So I'm going to put these in the freezer just so I can show y'all how these turn out and how I'm going to get them ready to go in my freezer for a future use. So like I said, I've prepared these to be able to be like freezer French fries, like what you go to the grocery store and buy. So I'm going to take these and put them in my freezer. I've got a spot in here that works. All right, so I did a few things while off camera. I pulled the French fries out, but I wanted to check my grease, so I threw one in there. So my oil is hot enough, and these are ready to go in. There you go. So I'm going to just fry up some of these. And I still have my oven on. Now I'm taking this and putting it in the oven. And I just want that to toast. And I want the cheese to melt. So like I said, pretty easy once you get that started. It just rolls right in. I got me a bowl. Get me a couple of paper towels. Put that there. And then all I do is sometimes they do want to clump together once you get them in. If you just go in and lightly poke at them or stir them, they will pull apart. See, they all come apart now. But look at how perfect those are. Perfect little French fries. So this is the one that we just pulled out. Well, pulled out a minute ago. See how pretty that is? I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. And then I will salt them as they come out. Because as you know, potatoes do not have any salt to them. You have to salt them liberally. I love this. I know that I shouldn't be using it in this pan. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm on the hunt for some pans. If you guys could give me some recommendations. I had pans before and they got scratched up really bad. And you know, we've always just bought the cheaper version, but I really want a good set of pans and pots. I've looked at several. There's a couple at Sam's, the whole sets that look really nice. Just not sure about those. I know there's one brand out there that's ultra expensive. That won't be a possibility for quite a while. There's no way we could ever afford those. So I do need something affordable, extremely affordable. Because as you know, I mean, I'm not consistent with you guys, so I can't hold an outside of my home job. So I'm just trying to do this to share with you guys what we do. And if I can get French fries and things put up in the freezer, and I'm going to tell you right now, this last week has really just proven to me, if it wouldn't have been my mom was in rehab, it definitely has proven to me this week that when one of us goes down, that it's going to be very important for us to have food, prepared, made foods in the freezer. The thing is yeah, I can go out and buy it. Of course I can. That's what those companies are there for. But I'm one of these that I try to watch what we eat, how it's made, where it comes from, because I'm so careful about what we put in our bodies. Yes, as I'm saying that, I'm crying, but this is a treat for us that we don't get very often. However, we do like to have these treats, and if one of us is sick or we aren't feeling well, or God forbid it's getting ready to be wintertime, So you know what's getting ready to happen. We're getting ready to hit cold and flu season. There's just so much that's getting ready to happen that I would like to be prepared for it. The weather changing does not bode my body well at all, having chronic illnesses. So if I can go ahead and get homemade, home-prepared food, homemade foods, ready and stocked in my freezer to where all they have to do is finish them as if they went and strolled the freezer section at the grocery store. That's where I want us to get. That's what I want to do for us. So that's my intention. That is where I'm headed. And I know that you probably can't hear me as well as you could have before. But as you know, I'm not a professional. I'm doing this from my kitchen and my phone was dying. So I had to plug in my phone and not my microphone. All right, we do have some French fries already out. Look at those. How wonderful those look. Look. Just fantastic. Look at that big old French fry. Someone put a little pink salt on those and just set those to the side. Now I just checked our oven and I did flip it around. Sometimes our oven does want to cook a little off kilter. I am actually looking at new ovens and stoves now. I just really want a new one. And there's nothing, I mean, there's this one starting to go. It's having a few problems. But it doesn't actually have to be changed or fixed right now. So since there's nothing actually wrong with it, I'm not going to bother my landlord with it. This is just something that I want. So I know any upgrade I do, she will be thrilled over. We've already spoken about such as that. Since I do a lot of bread baking and things like that, I am looking, I do have a small amount of room I'm working with here, but, and if I just get another one of these, that's great. And it's been a great one, and it was used when I moved in. Probably been here a while, I don't know. But it's been a great one for us. Alrighty, we're almost done. So once I get these out and put those in, I'll check our bread again. Our French fries, probably by the time we are done cooking these and everything's setting before I go to serve them, I will get the others out of the freezer. Because they'll have had time to sit. Look, I made a shoestring one. I used to think McDonald's had the all-time best French fries. I did. But I'm going to tell you right now, my homemade French fries, there's just nothing like them, y'all. They just taste so good. I don't put as much salt on mine to start with because you know what's going to happen once I put these on top of those. And then I salt again, the salt's just going to get over everything. So when I go to put these in, I'll put a little bit of salt on them, about like I did the bottom. Alright, see how pretty those are? Nice and golden. Look. Nice and golden. Golden French fries. I'm telling you, I don't know if French fries and ham and cheese sandwiches or potatoes and ham and cheese are just heartwarming and cozy for everybody else, or if it's just me. I have told y'all before, a lot of mine and my husband's favorite foods and eating habits come from the fact that we grew up in the era where things started becoming convenience foods. There's a funny story in my family. my mother and my father, my dad, they had a garden. We had a garden growing up. I always had a garden. Until my daddy got sick. But he had his garden and he had everything ready. And then if we ever wanted anything, we walked out into our laundry room and pulled it off the shelf or pulled it out of the freezer. Laugh, and as funny as it is to us now, I did not know that you could buy jelly from the grocery store and that the jars had labels on them. I did not know that you could buy French fries in the freezer. You could buy Sweet Pete's in the freezer. You could buy Sloppy Joe sauce out of a can on a shelf. I didn't know you could buy green beans in the grocery store. My parents did it all. We went to the meat market that I go to now, same meat market. Mr. Anderson has retired and one of his grandsons takes it now. Same meat market, y'all. Same place. So, it's nice for me now. I want to get back to that. I really do. So that's why I'm on the track that I'm on. So, just my little things there, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to, hey, we don't feel good tonight. What are we going to have for dinner? I didn't plan anything. Okay, we'll go check out the foods, and then we can walk back there and do it. All right. Okay, guys, so this is where we are now. This is where I put my condiments on that we made earlier. I use a big spoon just because it's easier for me to use the back of it. And I'm just going to spread it around on this top. And yes, I made just enough for the whole sandwich. So I'm going to put it over the whole thing. Now, if you want pickles on it, if you want onions on it, whatever you want on it, you can put them on now. Now, I also have caramelized onions in my freezer. If I would have thought about it, I could have very easily pulled those out and put those on before I put them in the oven, or I could have warmed them up. Now, got that. My butter. Normally, if this was still warm, you would take a brush and smear it on top. It's already gotten to where it firmed up again on me. So I'm just going to use another spoon, soup spoon. How funny is that? I have one long soup spoon, y'all. At one time, I had a set of them. I do want to get some more soup spoons because it is almost soup season. I want some good soup bowls or mugs. So when we go back out to the thrift stores, I'm hoping that the child and I will go Wednesday. Alright, so put that all over the top. Pull your foil over. And then you're going to let that rest for 5 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead. I did not salt those, y'all. I went ahead and turned my oil off because those are done. I was just finishing this. So I'm going to pull the rest of these out. Put them in my bowl. All right, y'all. We have, I probably could have broke those up and put half of those in the freezer with the other ones. But what's the fun in that, right? Because we're really going to enjoy those. Now, sometimes you can make any aioli you want to go on these. I've talked about doing a French fried aioli flight, but all I'm going to do is put the ketchup out here. Some of us prefer to use ketchup. Some of us prefer to use mayonnaise. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Or half mayonnaise, half ketchup, and do a fry sauce. So this is what our lunch is going to look like. And I know I said 5 minutes, but I can't wait that long. Now, you can use whatever you are comfortable using to cut those. I use a pizza cutter. So, I just go right down in here and just cut these. Whether they are actually on the slider mark or not, I don't know. It is not one of my major worries right now, so I don't worry about it. And that's the way you need to look at this if you don't. Yes, I have a new recipe to try this week. So, I have talked to my husband and my son, and if something does not go right, one of them will order dinner for us. Because what else are you going to do? Or I've got bread and stuff, we can have sandwiches. When you try something new, be prepared if it doesn't work out, especially if it's your meal for that day. Just my 2 cents there. Just my opinion. I used to take things so personally if they did not work out. I used to get so upset at myself, and it would be a completely new recipe. So when I met my husband and I was trying new recipes, he helped me get into that mind frame. So I always made sure when I'm trying something, we have the money to back it up or have a way to back it up to eat if that does not work. Because you know what? Not everything's going to turn out right. Alright, so here's our ham and cheese sliders. We love these. Look, just little hams and cheeses. So I'm going to plate up everybody's plate. And then I'm going to get them some French fries. Y'all, how easy is that? Super duper easy. So we're going to act like, I always joke. As of right now, my son is the youngest one in the house. So he asked for this. So today's lunch is brought to you by the 20-year-old in the house. Oh, we're going to eat like 20-year-olds today. And this one will be Mom's. So I'm going to go ahead and get everybody's plates fixed and get them served so I can get out of the way and we can get the kitchen cleaned up. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you very much. I've been saying that a lot here lately, but it's true. I feel like a lot of days I do this and I just ramble to myself and talk to myself. And it really makes my heart happy when you guys comment or you like my post, because I'm trying to figure out what you're looking for. What do you need help with, or if you're just watching. So just let me know. I do want to say, take care of yourselves. Take care of your neighbors. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. All right, everybody. So I forgot to do something. I wanted to show you. So, yeah, you think the video's over. It's not over. Adrian forgot to show you what these look like. I'm going to grab a bag, Ziploc bag, and do this just like I did my garlic, because look, they're where I can just pick them up. They are frozen 90% of the way. So I'm picking them up, throwing them in my bag. There's my frozen French fries. These are ready for another day. So here in the next couple of days or whenever I'm ready, I'll turn the oil back on, pop these in and fry them up, just like I went to the grocery store and bought them. So there's your ready-made, freezer, frozen French fries ready for you to finish at mealtime. So have a good one.